Hey, what's good, y'all? Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Zombies was considered one of the most controversial zombies games of all time, with some people who hated the game and claimed that it was a scam, and other people who actually liked the game and enjoyed its gameplay. In today's video, I'm going to be covering all of its controversies and whether or not it was a good or a bad game. When Black Ops 4 was revealed, it was one of the most hyped up and highly anticipated zombies games of all time. One of the biggest reasons for this is because of the past few games. Starting at Black Ops 3, it was claimed to be one of the best and greatest zombies experiences of all time, with amazing maps, great gameplay, a great community, and an intriguing story. People at the time were in love with this game, and it was considered the peak of Call of Duty Zombies. Content creation at this time was also at its peak, with a lot of YouTubers pulling off millions of views just making zombies content. Whenever Black Ops 3 ended and the next two zombies games came out, there was a lot of controversy around them and a lot of disappointment throughout the community. After 2 years of dry content throughout the games, people were eager for the next zombies game to come out by Treyarch. Eventually, the game was finally revealed, and with all the new features announced, people believed it would be one of the greatest zombies games yet. When BO4 Zombies had released, it launched with the most maps we have ever seen before, with Blood of the Dead, Classified, IX, and Voyage of Despair. Two of these maps that were released were a part of the new storyline known as Chaos, which had new characters and some new gameplay mechanics to go along with it. While it may not have been perfect, there was a lot of variety at the start of the game. In addition to the maps, there was also tons of new gameplay features and mechanics that were introduced. This included custom mutations, which allowed you to customize pretty much every single thing in your game, bots which helped fight zombies along with you, several new difficulty levels in case you wanted a more casual or a difficult experience, and even new modes such as Rush and Gauntlet, which helped make the game more interesting and added more replayability. There were also many gameplay improvements. One example would be the improved power-ups. Whenever you got a max ammo, it would refill all of your ammo instead of having to reload before. There were also the Carpenters, which in this game it repaired your entire shield so that way you didn't have to get a new one all the time. There were also some really cool boss fights that we've seen for each of the maps. While the game introduced a lot of cool features, there were also a lot of issues with it too. First of all, there were many features that were announced to be in the game, but just never showed up at all. A few examples would be factions, custom mutation challenges, and the addition of a grief game mode that was supposed to return. A lot of people felt scammed because they were paying a lot of money for this game and weren't getting the features that they were promised. Me personally, I always thought that the custom mutation challenges would have been really cool because it would have added something to compete for and gave more of a use to them. It would have also added a lot of replayability, but it sucks because we just never ended up getting it. While there was a lot of variety in the game, it was probably too much. On launch, the game just felt overwhelming. With 4 maps at the start being split between 2 storylines, it was kind of confusing which one they would be focusing on and which one we should focus on. I think more than anything, it was probably more of an issue for the development side of things because throughout the game's life cycle, all the maps that we got were like really inconsistent between both storylines. It seemed like the Chaos maps just never got finished, and it seemed like the Ether maps were just quickly thrown together with maps we've already seen before. This made a lot of people upset because they were paying for the game and basically just getting reused content that they've already seen before. In my opinion, I feel like the Chaos storyline didn't work out too well because they just started out too ambitious. In the Ether story, they started us out pretty much bare bones with very little information, which pretty much made us have to learn about the story and the characters one step at a time. With Chaos, they had already thrown us into this new universe with a bunch of detail already in it, which made it difficult to get attached to the characters in the story, which I think is why it didn't resonate with people as much. Right on launch, there were so many issues with the game's stability. People would crash all the time in both early and high round games, and there were a lot of glitches that made the game pretty much almost unplayable. The Easter egg for the map Classified took so long to solve because it wasn't even beatable without glitching. The map required you to get to round 150 to beat it, and unless you were doing a glitch, it was literally impossible to do it without crashing your game. One of the most hated things about the game was the new perk system. Normally, in every zombies game, each perk has its own machine and set location in whatever zombies map it's in. With the new system, there's 4 machines in every map, and you assign them to whichever location you want to buy them at. They also decided to remove the most iconic perks in the game, such as Juggernog, Speed Cola, and Double Tap, so we wouldn't have to rely on crutch perks, therefore making us have to use some of the new and other perks to match our playstyle. In theory, it sounds like a good idea, but it didn't really work out because most players just end up using the same perks anyway. One of my personal favorite things about Black Ops 3 Zombies was its gobblegums. In Black Ops 4, they changed it to elixirs, which made them a lot worse and just a lot more hard to get. I know a lot of people didn't like the gobblegums, but me personally, I always felt like they were just fun to use and could completely change how you played your match. And if you wanted more of a challenge, you could just either use the classic gums or just not use them at all. I just miss how they allowed for your own playstyle, and in BO4 they're just so much worse that I don't even really see a point in using them anymore. A minor thing about the game that was actually one of the most talked about things about the game was actually its HUD. People complained that the HUD was just way too complicated and cluttered, and I definitely agree. Some of the other zombies games had these really simple and clean looking HUDs that only showed you what you needed to know. I mean, look at the perks, like, come on now. There were also a lot of issues with the gameplay design in general. One of the most annoying things about the game is that the zombies will literally just die out in the middle of a round for no reason. This made it really annoying to do Easter egg steps because normally you're having to wait around, train a zombie to do steps, and they literally just die on you, so you'd have to go on to the next round and have a bunch of zombies chase you. It's such a small thing, but it just makes the experience way worse. Another thing I hate is that the zombies will literally just spawn in front of you when you're trying to run somewhere. I think the last major gameplay issue I have is that you just spawn in too overpowered. At the very start of a match, you already spawn in with the exact specialist weapon that you choose before you even start in the game. Unlike BO3 where you actually get to earn it by doing a quest. They pretty much reworked it so that way you already have everything you need at the very start. So when you start out, you're not really surviving. You kind of just have everything you already need. I don't think it's as big of an issue, but I like how in the other games it feels more like you're surviving and you had to make these early game choices. The ending of the maps, and especially the final map for the Ether's storyline, was a huge disappointment to a lot of people. And I think a big reason for this is because of the cutscenes. Most of the maps didn't even have a CG cutscene like we normally do, and instead we just got these digitally drawn cutscenes, likely due to budgeting issues on the developers. Normally I wouldn't have a huge problem with it, but considering it was the final map to end the entire storyline, I think it would have been a lot more fitting and just a lot more cooler if we had a full out CG cutscene like we normally have been having. Lastly, I already talked about it briefly, but in order to play the bonus maps and DLC, you had to pay $50 extra on top of the full price game that you already paid for, which gave us just 4 maps after launch, with half of them being just recycled, when we were promised a full year, if not more, of full-fledged zombies content just for the zombies mode alone. There were a lot of issues with the game, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it was terrible. At the start, a lot of people, even me, hated the game. I still don't think it was an amazing experience, but after going back and playing the maps to make this video, I did actually have some fun playing them. I just don't think I'd go back to replay them very often, like I would with a game like BO3 or any of the other zombies games. I have noticed that over the years, the public perception of the game has increased, and people are starting to appreciate some of the good things that did come from the game. Even though I didn't really like this game that much, it did introduce a lot of features and ideas that made it into the future zombies games. So even though I didn't think it was that great of a game, I honestly did think it had somewhat of a lasting and positive effect on zombies as a whole. That's just my opinion, but let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Was Black Ops 4 Zombies a good and enjoyable experience, or did y'all not like it very much? I've got some more zombies related videos on my channel, and I got some more coming on the way, so if y'all want to see some more, feel free to drop a like and sub, and peace.